Yes.
Have you collected the power points?
No, I was supposed to come to back your phone, but someone sent it to me WhatsApp. So
You know, a complicated one.
yeah.
The flash drive.
She know the system is a little bit.
Have you kept? You know the system.
Oh yeah, she showed you the form. So I
Do you have it on your own WhatsApp?
Yeah, I'm just having the one who snap up to me.
Then
Then
do you have-
the flash.
Okay. My manager, do you have the chair here? The panel chair. If you don't have the chair, you become the chair.
He's around now.
Where's the chair?
I saw him yesterday.
I thought it's not this morning last of we are talking about this morning now. If it's not here now, you just
He also have come.
So if it's not here, you
I'll
chair.
chair, yeah.
Or somebody can
Yeah,
volunteer to chair.
then-
That's how it works. It's here yesterday, it doesn't work right now.
Okay, no, I'm going to come on online.
Now,
Àwọn olóṣùwọ̀n àyè mo ní olúwa tó sì ibi tó yẹ.
Ṣé kò wá mẹ́ẹ̀? Sure.
Ìbọn fánú rẹ̀ fi parí báyìí 20.
Even the chairman isn't presenting. It's Jim Ako. He is supposed to present with.
do you have his number, sir?
I do it. Let me call somebody, his colleague.
Yeah.
Let me call that. We are waiting now. He's delaying us. How will the chairman be delaying us?
Well, we wouldn't know what should have become of him. I just
No, he's staying. He's one of the. He's in the guest house on campus here.
Then,
So kò sí tó yẹ kó tún delay for sọ̀rọ̀ kan.
tí ọ̀tá wọn bá ní àìlera,
You know,
bóyá kọjá àdé nǹkan pẹ̀lú.
I don't know. The matter has soon.
Bàtà àti ìrì wọn àmọ́.
Manual surgery.
Consider all looking at others.
Má jẹ́ gbàgbé àtẹ̀lé gbàgbé.
Ṣé ṣájà yẹn ẹ lè gbàgbé? Èmi náà ló fẹ́ fi fóònù mi.
Network báyìí lágbára ṣá.
That's
The number is
I think that's
Ṣé ti rẹ́dí sá? Orí táìmù ti tó. I don't know if Hi, Mr. Muslim, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Are you one of the
Good morning, sir.
panelists for this? Okay, yes.
Yes, 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 sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Good. Yeah, we are going to commence the panel now. So just going to stand by.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And I don't know if I can share my slides before the time, sir.
Yeah, you can share it from your own end since you're online. I'm going to give you permission.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. Yeah, welcome to this panel. So we are going to commence the session as soon as possible because of our time. So we have like two panelists to present us in person now, and we have one person online. So I guess there are 4 or 5 presenters.
Yes, the chairman is supposed to present you. This is him.
Okay, so since we don't have the chair of this panel now at the moment, so maybe doctor can chair it, and I can really do that as well, just to coordinate the question and answer and the order of presentation. But we don't have like, let me check the order. So anyone that is around can go ahead and start the presentation.
I can start my.
Yeah, so since we have like 2 presenters in person, they can go ahead and start the presentation.
Really, just ask any of the.
So are you like in this panel? Okay, just
If somebody can coordinate, are you going to do the
yeah, I
coordination?
can do that.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, yeah, me at that's no, it's page 20.
Page 20.
This is page 20. This is me. Only that question.
Okay. Yeah, so good morning, everyone. So we have like Dr. Akonda, since he's there in person, so he's going to go ahead and kickstart the presentation for this morning. And the title of his paper is
Igi kan ò lè dá igbó ṣe.
Democratizing the Colonization of African Theatre in the Age of Post-Coloniality, Postmodernism, and Post-Humanism by Dr. Yemi Akonda. So you have the floor, so I can go ahead and start your presentation.
Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning, sir.
I'm talking to my paper
Good morning,
titled
sir.
Igi kan ò lè dá igbó ṣe, Democratizing the Colonization of African Theatre in the Age of Post-Colonialism, Postmodernism, and Post-Humanism. And the abstract goes this way. The debates have been ongoing for the need to democratize African studies. This paper is a response to the raging debates on African studies to be relieved from the paradoxical grip of Western epistemology. In doing this, therefore, it examines the decolonization of African dramatic theater as unrealistic as they are practically impossible if a culture to be isolated in the same way it is practically impossible for a tree to stand alone in the forest metaphor, in the sense that collections of trees make a forest. So to justify this, the paper we interrogate the binary core value of post-coloniality, the boundary crossing of intricacies of post-modernity, and the distortive creative implosions of post-coloniality and post-humanity to bring this isolated sense of decolonization, which is quite impossible. So using qualitative method, and the findings shows that there is a diversions of ideas, the cross-current nature of diversity and unity in the universe. Although this does not dissolve the exceptional vision of self-identity and cultural divination of knowledge in its continuity and discontinuity, and fluidity that run through time to string the dialectics of similarity and dissimilarity. It was also discovered that the post-colonial identity will undermine the democratic matrices of interest in the decolonizations of knowledge from the individual scale in the integrational processes of psycho-autogenous discovery. That is a process of getting that what I call self-esteem, rather than the collective memory to which the colonial influence away. Introduction. From the 1962 convergence of writers, African writers in Nairobi, Makerere University College in Kampala, Uganda, laid the foundation of these debates in literature, in African literature. Then there were debates and counter debates raging on the how to decolonize African literature. And this paper is a response to the debates on African studies to be relieved of this grip of the Western epistemology. And this interrogates, this paper interrogates the concept of decolonization of the African epistemology to provide argument that it is greatly impossible, if not impracticable, or a ruse in a sense to discover that you're going to isolate knowledge, African knowledge, in this global trend. And the research questions, one, what is decolonization in its general understanding? Are the colonial experiences similar to the post-colonial experiences? How reflective will decolonizing of African studies in the considering the epistemological understanding of African studies, especially African literary studies, and most especially African drama? Then, decolonizing in the age of post-coloniality, post-modernity, and post-humanity, is it a possibility or a ruse? And there's need for a deconstructionist an approach in discussing decolonization in the age of post-coloniality, post-modernity, and post-humanity. These African theatrical performances in the former colonies in Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and apartheid South Africa were of motifs in a syncretic form that revealed some of these reproaches. These agitations paved the way for the former colonization to allow indirect control largely through economic intervention, which is now termed neocolonialism, a term coined by late Kwame Nkrumah to describe the relieved condition of Africa from the 1960s. In a similar way, in the post-colonial independent African nation, some of these modern African creative writers form from generation to generation, they now reflect on forms and content, structured their works to paint their motifs in the post-colonial experience in the image of after colonization or after independence to the subtle terms of what is colonial domination. Okay, as said earlier, independence does not portend freedom or solve the problems of colonialism, as some of these problems persist in the post-colonial space, especially in Africa. We're still going on talking about our experience in this condition. And so critics of post-coloniality find it contestable in the sense that the inequality of colonial rule have not been wiped off to think that the post, as in post-colonialism, proclaims the demise of colonialism. We still go through the barrage of this experience in terms of corruption, like what have you in Africa. So it is a question to ask, how far have we gone to really examine ourselves and discover ourselves? So postmodernism is a foreshadowing of the past, the present, and time to come. What does this mean? The term postmodernism denies itself a straight definition because of the nature of fragments, hybridity, relativism, play, parody, passages in ironic, sophistical stance, and confusion in this concept make it impossible for postmodernism to erase postcolonialism. That is what you see in postcolonialism is an reflections of post-colonial experience. And when you look at postmodernity, it emphasizes the cross-current borders of ideas. So it's not historical, just like post-colonial experience. Theoretically, postmodernism is an antithetical and yet related to modernism. Modernism marked the beginning of the Industrial Revolution as the precursor of science and bourgeois capitalism on the market-centered economy in the Age of Enlightenment. Next, and postmodernism, like all the other posts before it, has a teleological understanding of inherent contradictions. It is not a homogeneous concept, rather it is an encompassing term which consists of approaches and schools of thought which have in common the elections of humanism and the rise in the postmodernist ideas arising from the global trends of community, which strengthens the post-structuralist and the constructionist views of death of author in literature, offers a promise to move beyond the problem of the human centricism above nature, animal, and technology. The development of infallibility of decolonized epistemological receptions, not only in teaching and learning drama, theater, but in relationship with the environment, animals, and technology. In the postmodern idea, you see that it's all-encompassing, and because of division and contradictions of historical events in human experience, it was coming to fore. And a posthumanist scholar of drama and theater typically integrates scholarship from a variety of other disciplines, including but not limited to art, communication, architecture, cybernetics, ecology, etiology, and so on and so forth. Considering the foregoing, it amounts to splitting of years and appears to be more of a ruse in advocacy rather than a possibility of intention by the scholars of decolonization, which by natural of ideas in discovery, dominion, and so on and so forth. When you look at its essence of these, the idea of decolonization is becoming something that's of advocacy, not really in something that we could come to term because of this nature of the experience influence of the postmodernist idea and digital age. So it's very difficult to say that you want to isolate yourself from the global trends. It's very difficult. You cannot have total essence of decolonization. That's what my thesis is saying. So decolonizing the mindset of interjectory of the contemporary African drama, theater paradigm. Well, something piqued my mind in this research, reading the work of Ngigwa, just immediate past Ngigwa and Thiogo, what is titled Decolonizing the Mind, the Politics of Language in African Literature. Basically, we'll know that the foremost hardened critic of decolonization was Ebullient Ngigwa and Thiogo. And of course, he had his mind to say that he looked at the African writers who were writing in English language as if they were committing certain criminal offense in terms of not even identified with a mother tongue. And he says it's an injustice to mother tongue if you have to choose to write in the language of the colonizers. And he appreciated those writers like Falkasi, Diofagunwa, Eriwada, and the rest of them who chose to write in their indigenous language. And what I'm saying about democratizing is the essence of making the choice as a writer to say, okay, if I write in my indigenous language and want to go in the way of Ngigwa and Thiogo that wrote in his Kikuyu language and invariably translating it to English language, why not write in the language you prefer? If I write in English language and a Yoruba scholar a writer decides to translate my work, while you are still making the knowledge advance globally. So that's the point I'm taking. That is, everybody has the choice of writing and using the language. It's already been given to us. We can still keep on using the language in a way of the writers, even from the context of colonial experience that they've been democratizing African theater. Okay, you can imagine that Hubert Ogunde left, and the rest of them left the church from the concert party to African drama. Even by the experience, Ladipo was excommunicated from Anglican church because of infusion of these African ideas, African percussions. It was excommunicated. So from the contact of colonialism, we've been decolonizing, and we are still decolonizing as writers. So he embraced the choice of this writer, and perhaps the issue of language with which a writer writes becomes a personal decision, given its implications of a form of democratic desire in language use in this context. That is, you have the right, you have the choice to use the language. And more so, English language has become the global language, and there are so many Englishes. So there's no way, there's no crime, there's no use in saying that you want to limit the use of language, English language, or language of colonizer. That's exactly what this paper is talking about. And the legacy of the pioneers of professional theater, practice of the Yoruba or practice theater is relieved in the works of the contemporary African writers who came after them, especially those of Yoruba extraction in Nigeria because of their exposure to Western culture and education. You couldn't have gotten the influence of Western culture as a writer and not influence what you do. All of us have gone through Western episteme. There's no way what we're going to do will not be influencing our thinking, and our thought will be influencing our output, our product. So that's a kind of dialectical situation. And this is argued that the ideas of decolonization have been ingrained in the works of those writers through the infusions of the traditional elements with modern theatrical elements in Western culture and tradition from the dawn of the contemporary theater in Nigeria. And what Wole Soyinka or Larutimi, within an intercultural perspective, in appropriating the language, the former colonizers and the cultures, is not different from what Chinua Achebe does with his works. All writers, African writer from all parts of Africa, they've been infusing their works with African sensibility, African norms, African culture in their works. So decolonization is a process. And this paper is saying that we can never isolate ourselves. And to go about this, there's something Igi Kolidaigboshe, rethinking decolonization through self-psycho-autogenous discovery. Is a working theory that I've just come up with, that what I call psycho-autogenous discovery inspired by autogenics, and the medical term that says that, okay, when you are sick and the process of recuperation, the body system is gradually going back to normal. And the same thing in a similar way that we've gone through slavery, we've gone through colonization, we've gone through neo-colonization. Yet we need to go back and see that we go back to our body go back to normal in the way of discovering ourselves. That's what I call this psycho-autogenous discovery. So basically, the sense in the Yoruba idiom, makes sense in the axiom that a tree cannot make a forest. The metaphor of the tree of this context stands for a continent, and the forest alludes to the world. That is, African as a continent can never and should never isolate itself or herself. So the colonizing episteme of the African drama theater is a complex and dynamic process, especially in the digital age. This is influenced by advances in technology and the persistent challenge of the colonial legacies. Take, for instance, Afrobeat as a genre of music from Africa is already permeating the entire globe, and it's even more accepted, perhaps, in Europe and America than we even see it in Nigeria or in Africa. So we cannot limit, and from the time of these post-COVID-19 experience, you can see that theater already been democratized because of this technology. You can just sit home and watch YouTube. You can streamline the performance, stream of the performances without even going to the theater. All these bringing the idea that we cannot limit ourselves. Technology is influencing what we do. So how do we now say you want to totally democratize, apart from getting to the... So this is the idea I'm talking about. And another point very important is that what psychoanalysis is saying is that we have to discover. It's a process of self-esteem. That is, you cannot continue nursing the ambitions of saying, because of colonial, because we make excuses of colonial experience. What have we done to ourselves? We need to look inward and see that what our leaders are doing. Corruption is pervading, despair, violence everywhere. You can imagine what happened in Benue recently. So what are we talking about? What are we doing to ourselves? In conclusion, that this paper has argued that the colonizations of African drama theater has ever been from the point of contact with colonization, and that true colonization is impossible in the digital age and the space. In doing this, it has been observed that African playwrights have ever been engaging in hybridizations of African dramatic elements, both in content and form, with the Western paradigms in their works. It is suggested that African writers can by individual choice write in their indigenous language or otherwise, and translation could be done, as Singugu did, of works of the indigenous writers to the language of the former colonizer, to either way to advance the place of African episteme in the global community. And I coined that the possible way to overcome inferior and superior complexity in dialectical terms is by embracing freedom, which self-cycle autogenous discovery offers for the Black people to engage in concept of self-esteem by overcoming the limitations of the colonial experience. It is concluded that the hybridized relation between the self and the other is to integrate and accentuate the self psychologically within the modern universal epistemic paradigm for diversity and unity in advancing African knowledge. Thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Kondam, for that.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Senior.
Please share. Okay.
I was sorry. I was trying to get this place. The building is so massive. I went this way, I went down way, I went down, I came up again, and all of that. The past 15 minutes I've been
going up and down.
I now understand it. I now understand the
Structure.
Okay. So thank you for your presentation. Maybe who was holding forth for me? You can continue. I can go ahead from after now.
Okay.
Continue. Sorry.
Can come on.
Come on,
Take over. I've been trying Emmanuel's number to get through to you, but network problem.
Yeah, you gave me this chair.
It's a chairman.
Yes. So what we'll do is let us agree. It's a democratic dispensation. Are we agreeing that we are going to ask questions before the next presenter, or we'll leave all of the questions, then can now ask the questions?
I think based on the norms and tradition of panel like something like this, question and answer often led to the end of all the presentations.
Okay.
So to have like to allow all the participants participate and like express themselves through the presentation, and after which you can open the floor for question and
Now we are saying that we are in a democratic dispensation. We are here now. We can agree, okay, right? Would we want to ask questions after each presentation?
Oh,
wait. So let us note our questions. So next presenter.
Sunny, right?
Yes,
We have Muslim Sunny.
Yeah. Is it? It's alive.
Okay. Muslim Sunny, are you there? Can you hear us?
you are muted.
Can you unmute?
Can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear us?
Hello, sir. Yes, I can hear you clearly, sir.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead with your presentation. You have 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes.
Hey, sir. I want to share my friend. Is that to
Oh, my
We can barely hear you.
I think like we should allow the next person, like I know like going to go ahead and why the kicks.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
can you hear me now?
Please, let him understand that he's experiencing network glitches from his end, probably.
That's from his end.
Yes.
Okay.
So that you can get alternative.
Yeah. So Ajose, hope I didn't kill the name. Ajose.
Hello, I can hear you perfectly, sir. I can hear you, sir.
You can hear us.
Perfectly, sir. I don't know if you are hearing me, sir.
We can hear you loud and clear. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you, sir.
So go
I
ahead.
saw it. I just need your permission to share my screen. Okay, sir.
Yeah, you can share your screen then. It's going to be
Can you share your screen?
That is what I want to do. That's what it's asking me for permission, sir.
Clearly, sir.
Okay.
yeah, I'm recording. I can try to share again,
It's asking me for permission to share my screen.
but I have not gotten any like notification about that. Can you try to share your screen?
Okay, what we'll do is so that we'll not waste our time. You can go ahead, sir. In the next 10 minutes, the next 15 minutes, we can have you. Thank you.
Good morning, my chairman and my colleagues. Good morning to everybody. My name is Joseph Benjamin Seje. So I am presenting a paper on Segun Adefila's deployment of kindnesses as storytelling techniques in Iyaoja. Segun Adefila's deployment of kindnesses as a storytelling techniques in one of his plays, Iyaoja. Now, one thing I want us to know here is that we're looking at how Segun Adefila used kindnesses as a means of telling story in one of his plays, Iyaoja. So first and foremost, I want to let people know what kindnesses is all about. Kindnesses refers to the study of movement, gestures, and other forms of non-verbal communications that occur within human interactions. In performance, kinesis plays a pivotal role in conveying meaning, emotions, and character dynamics, allowing performers to express what words cannot articulate, allowing them to express what words cannot articulate. What I'm saying in essence is that how Segun Adefila interprets some of his role, how Segun Adefila exhibits some of his characters through non-verbal, through movement, through gestures, through gesticulations. So I will now go to directing because I'm looking at Segun Adefila as a director now. We're looking at him as a director, how he was able to infuse kindnesses in his play Iyaoja. Directing in theater has undergone significant transformation. In its early stage, directing was often informal, with playwright or actor taking on the role of guiding performance. What we are saying there, in essence, is that thousands of years, the role of director was not filled by a single person. The playwright is also seen as a director, and they are called either teacher or you call them didacolos or teacher, because they not only wrote the play, but also instructed the performers and advised the designers and the technicians. However, as theater evolves, particularly during the late 19th and 20th century, the role of a director became formalized, which means the work of Sir Milligan is often credited with establishing modern directing practice by emphasizing the importance of unifying visions and visions for production. Unifies visions. We now see that directors start coming up from the recipient of Greek Western theater, there's not been any person called director. But from 19th to 20th century, a man called Doc came up with the idea of unifying all aspects of directing together. On this approach laid the groundwork for director to take a more authoritative role in shaping performance. In African theater, this evolution has marked by a blend of traditional storytelling techniques and contemporary practice. Directors draw upon indigenous forms of expressions while incorporating modern elements to engage contemporary audience. This blending is particularly important in post-colonial context, where there is a need to reclaim cultural narratives and assert identity through performance. Unlike other forms of narratives, African theater combines elements, like other forms of narratives in Western, but in Africa, combines multiple elements, such as dialogue, music, dance, visual art, in order to create a holistic experience that engage the audience on various sensory levels. Among these elements are verbal and non-verbal communication. Okay, let me just go to the work. Let's go to the work straight. Yes. In my interview with Adifila, because we are talking about how he used body movement, how he used, gestures in interpreting roles of actors. He believes that while acting, you don't necessarily need to talk. Your body movement can explain more better than words. You don't necessarily need to, interact. You don't necessarily need to interact with dialogue. Your body movement, how you gesticulate, how you move body can actually communicate very well to your audience. He now says in one of his interviews, he said, my background is traditional masquerade. Why is he using all this medium to, explain? He believes that my background is traditional masquerade. As a child, it was first exposed to theater, and I saw how influential masquerade is. How, as a child, I thought it was just entertainment, but again, it was somehow opening to our subconscious that masquerade is not just dancing. They are dancing for what? They are dancing for a reason, and everything they are doing is for a reason. So he sees first what comes into his brain as a child when he was growing up is to engage himself looking at masquerade. He believed that masquerade does not only engage with dialogue alone. He sees them with different acrobatic display, different acrobatic movements, different, how they move their body. He now looked at it and said, okay, if a masquerade is standing and is, moving his body and everybody is shouting, hey, hey, he sees this as a means of communication. So in his performance, he introduces that. He now said, as a storyteller is always a storyteller. He needs nothing but his body. As an actor, as a performer, you need nothing than what? Your body, your voice, and tool. For me, that tool must be in top form. As an actor, your tool must be in top form. Your body must be in top form. And he said, if you ask my artists, the training they must have first and foremost is that they are like athletes and they must be fit. You must not use a sick body or a body that is not healthy enough to tell a story. So he believes that his story, his actor must be fit at all times. They must go through rigorous exercise. They must go through different exercise. A scholar, Jack, says that the study of human anatomy enabled me to develop an analytic method of physical preparation direct towards expressivity and bringing into play each part of the body. The feet, he brings into play each part of the body. He brings the feet, the leg, the hips, the chest, the shoulder, the neck, the head, the arms, the hand, getting a feel for dramatic potential to each turn. He believes that your body, your hand, your feet, stamping of foot, stamping of feet gives a message to the audience. traditionally, when you move that, there are some signs you will give to the audience without even talking. They know they can decode the message. I use two theories. I use that of I use semiotic, and I make use of I make use of Bedwell's theory, Bedwell's theory. Bedwell's theory, theoretical framework, theoretical foundation of kinesis are rooted in the intersection of anthropology and physiology and communication studies. Bedwell believes that concept of body language reshape the understanding of human communication. I repeat again, concept of human language reshape the understanding of human communication. That means that body language can reshape the understanding of human communication, arguing that nonverbal cues are as rich and meaningful communication. This research into semiotics of bodies serves as both a medium and a message in the conveyance of meaning. This shift has profound implications for theater because it recognizes the body as an integral part of actors' toolkit. Integral part. You can't tell a story without not using your body. You can't communicate to people without not using your body. Your body is a major tool. And that's why you say that the major tools of an actor is the body and the voice. So, and like Adefela also believe that before you can be an actor, you must go through rigorous exercises. And that is why in his play, Yaoja, that talks about the happenings in the market, first and foremost, he makes use of movement. You will see movement from childbirth, you will see movement to adulthood. You will see the struggle of women in the market through the stamping of the ground. You will see the movement of the body of the women in the market through, the way they gesticulate, a well choreographed movement that shows the struggle of a woman, that shows the struggle of childbirth, that shows different struggle, even without speech. I make use of qualitative research, descriptive research methodology. I make use of interview, images, and books and other things. So lastly, he says, I try not to worry myself with terrorizing the practice. But one thing I can say is that because of my background, the place I'm coming from and the people I work with, my teacher, and all that I have experienced all come together to shape my approach. He does not bother himself by theorizing his approach. He just believes that I am a conglomeration of different schools of theater. Conglomeration of different schools of theater. He believes in what we call eclecticism, different ideas, different schools. And he said, as a director, the script is just for you, the script is just a guide for you. We Africans do more on total theater. When you look at our movement in African setting, we do more on total theater. When you look at the way we move, we do more on total theater. We make use of voice, we make use of chant, we make use of songs, we make use of all these things. So that's that.
Okay. Let me quickly apologize for coming in very late. I want to apologize again. Please let us use our time judiciously and let's be mindful of the background we have studied, theoretical framework, we must eat, the methodology, then tell us what about the work. But let us not forget that the work must be anchored on the particular theory. Let's be very intentional about that. We agree that we are going to be talking about questions after all of the presentations. Are you ready now?
No, I'm still trying to fix my gadget, sir. So in a couple of minutes, I'll be ready.
Okay. My name is Dr. Jimmy Ako from Lee City University, and my work is titled Whose Needs Are Being Served? Rethinking Sustainable Development in Community-Based Theater Practices in Nigerian Tertiary Institutions. Over the years, community theater in Nigerian tertiary institutions has experienced several transmutations, from people going into a community, scooping information, coming back to the university, looking at it and taking the theater to the people to cement the relationship between town and gown. However, is this the actual intent based on theory from Augusto Boal, from Paulo Freire to Augusto Boal, Cristobal Odiambo, Steve Abba in Africa now? Is this actually a practice? Is there a lacuna? Is there a chasm between theory and practice when it comes to community theater in Nigerian tertiary institutions? Are we intentionally going to communities and coming back to school because we want to write and be promoted? Are we going to the community to leave the people more hopeless? When we went into these communities, are we aware of conspiracy of courtesy? These people feel that you are from the ivory tower, you are here again. They gave you monies, you ate the monies, and you are here, you want to patronize us. Are we aware that these people have their own realities? Are we aware that these people can be basking in a particular euphoria when you are around them? Are we aware that there are people that feel that because you have not massaged their ego, you cannot get the information that you actually want? Are we aware that people are not even going to school? Looking at it from the angle of the student now, the animators, the facilitators, are we aware that some of them are not going into the communities deliberately because they have anything to offer? Are we aware that there's language barrier? Are we aware that when we go and we don't revisit for follow-up, which is almost a Herculean task, are we aware that that is now a bane? Then finally, are we aware that the nomenclature, community theater, is an issue? Community theater, who is the community? Is it the people that are going into the community? Is it the people, the facilitators, and the community members? Is it the community? The community now? Who is the community? These are issues. This is the chasm. This is the lacuna. I deliberately chose this topic because I feel that once upon a time, people sat down and felt that, okay, we should have theater for development in Africa. It trickled down to universities. NGOs have tapped into it. It is still untapped to an extent, if I must say. Yeah. It is still untapped. Some NGOs, some people are not, some universities are not interested in theater for development or community theater. Why? You go into a community, you tickle people's consciousness, and you leave them more hopeless than they were before you came into the community. Now, they're asking this question. You came here. What is your interest? Are you here because you like us so much than yourself? Are you here because you want to help us? Are you here because you want to go and dust another book and add to it as an addendum? These questions are deserving answers. They are requiring answers because we that are community theater practitioners have not come together to agree that if we must do community theater, from the academia, we must be at par with the community itself. I want to use a particular theory called the social judgment theory to buttress what I'm saying. Social judgment theory tells us that every human being has a way of understanding messages that comes to them. Literate, semi-literate, and we know these days we have terms, we have to be careful with our terms. Literate, semi-literate, and the non-literate. Can't use illiterate. Now, you are going into a community where you have non-literate. You've done the transit work, done your social mapping, community mapping, using any of the participatory learning and action tools. And now you are with the community members. Okay, there is no hospital here. 3 minutes. Yes, there's no hospital here in this community. Why? And somebody is telling you that we don't have hospital in this community because we have something that looks like an hospital here, and it is owned by the Miangwa. It is owned by the Ballet's wife. It is owned by XYZ or ABC. These are issues that we are battling with. You are in a community because you want to help, to massage their ego, to tickle their consciousness. But because you are using the official I method, you are coming from the academia, you've gone to a place, somebody is trying to say, you're welcome, anything for us, any matching grant for us, they are not giving them all of that. What are we benefiting? Those of us coming from the academia. And what are we trying to do to ensure that the community members, the supposed beneficiaries, holistically get what they are supposed to get from us as people that are coming from the ivory towers? Are we going there because we need promotions? Are we going there because, okay, we want to use them as guinea pigs? We want to use the community as a laboratory? Is that why we are there? So whose needs are being served in the name of community theater? For those of us that are practitioners of theater for development, we have 7 stages. Follow-up is almost always a Herculean task because we go into the community, we assume that they understood our stories already, we had left them almost hopeless than they were before. You tickle somebody's consciousness, you beat person, you say, may you no cry. You went to the community, you have said, you people have roads here, but it's like you have problems of flooding and all of that. Okay, what are we going to do about this? Self-reliance. Okay, nothing is being done. You came back after 2 weeks for a rural rapid appraisal, nothing was done. You left again, you came back, nothing is being done. And the people are now asking you that you came here, what are you actually doing? You are now explaining. You came from a university. This particular thing you are doing is because you want to serve a need. Curriculum is curriculum based. The community people now are now thinking beyond your own curriculum. If what you are doing is curriculum based, what do you want to do after? What do you want to do? So in conclusion, the question is, from the academia, whose needs are being served? Are we going there because we want to add more to what we have already? Are we doing what we are doing because we want to be promoted? Is it in tandem with what Augusto Boal, Paulo Freire have said about the banking system of education? Looking at people like tabula rasas, empty slates, ignoramuses. You have gone into a community, you feel that these people are empty heads. They must be taught. These people don't know anything. We must teach them. You've gone into the community, you have done that, you have left. Whose needs are being served? I rest my case. So, are we ready now? Musliu.
Hello, sir. I'm ready. Just because I need permission to share my screen.
Go ahead. We can hear you loud and clear.
You can share your screen now. I may be a co-host. I may be a co-host.
Okay. Good morning, sir. I'm to present on continuity, discontinuity, and the dynamics of change. Exploring the Nigerian theater space through the lens of Bolanle Hospital's production. Abstract. The 21st century has created a global village with societies seeking new forms of cultural production that can satisfy their emotional, entertainment, and pedagogic needs.
Can you hear me? Just go.
I can hear you perfectly, sir.
Go to your introduction. We don't have all the time, so go to your introduction.
In my
give us your introduction,
yes,
your framework, your methodology, then you discuss. 10 minutes.
In an era where digital tools increasingly shape how stories are told, Nigerian theater finds itself a fascinating crossroads, one where tradition, innovation, and technology converge to redefine performance. This paper examines the dynamics of change through the lens of Bolanle Hospital production, arguably one of the most influential theatrical enterprises in contemporary Africa. In this study, I use only Bahama postcolonial theories, particularly its concept on hybridity and thought space. In this case, I examine how Bolanle Hospital works navigate the tensions between continuity and discontinuity, between cultural preservation and technological disruption. More specifically, I analyze how machine intelligence, particularly in the form of automated lighting, digital scenography, mapping projection, and sound modulation, is transformed the aesthetics and narrative delivery of Nigerian theater. In my theoretical framework, Omi Baba's concept, I use the concept of ability and third space. Under this, I examine the dynamics of continuity and discontinuity on how Bolanle Hospital draws cultural memory while breaking theatrical boundaries. In this case, I try to see how human and machine intelligence in theater can work together under the text generation, pattern recognition, and emotion simulation. To foreground this work carefully and very well, I try to see the work of Bolanle Hospitals from 4 notable areas. Number 1, automated lighting. Number 2, digital scenography. Number 3, mapping projection. Number 4, sound modulation. Using case studies like Fela and the Kalakuta Queens 2018 and Queen Maremi the Musical 2020. Under the automated lightings, I see the dynamics between how we use intelligent lighting fixtures like movie heads, RGB, and programmable consoles. I also try to see under the digital scenography how Bolanle Hospital were able to use LED screens to create different locales in a production. And under the mapping projection, I try to examine 3D immersive environment, virtual reality design, Of course, anything about Bola Peter, he likes to incorporate music. That is because in my interview with, in the course of interviewing her, he said Nigeria wants, she said Nigeria wants to, anything about music, that is where, what they actually attracts their attention. Under the, I have another subheading, under the continuity and discontinuity, what aspects, what are the dynamics? What is the making point of the continuity and discontinuity? Under this, under the continuity, I try to examine the strong linkage to Nigerian cultural identity, musical heritage, and myth. How Bola Peter utilize all these indices in the production. Under the discontinuity, I try to look at destruction of traditional staging, the destruction of traditional staging through machine-led immersion, including LED screen, virtual reality. And under the dynamic of change, I try to examine the emergence of post-colonial, the aspect of third space as identified by Omini Bahaba in the concept of hybrid performance. My findings, in the course of my research, I have said that theater as a hybrid interface where tradition meets innovation. I also see AI under the continuity as the co-creator in performance design. I also try to find out where spatial and temporal fluidity through technology, the emotional synthesis of light and sound through AI modulated lighting and soundscapes in Bola Peter. And the aspect of discontinuity, destruction, and opportunity. Conclusion. In the vibrant landscape of Nigerian theater, Bola Peter's production stand as a luminous example of how tradition and technology can co-create something profoundly new without necessarily erasing what came before. By harnessing AI-driven stagecraft, automated lighting, digital scenography, mapping projection, and sound modulation, Bola Peter does not only enhance aesthetics, it transforms the every grammar of performance, each beam of light, each beam of LED ripple, each spatial shift is not just technical wizardry. It is a storytelling made kinetic, immersive, and emotionally intelligent. On my recommendation here, I try to see how we can institutionalize tech theater collaborations, how we can develop AI literate theater education, how we can preserve cultural authenticity through creative mediation, and also I try to see how we can embrace anything new technology, whether AI, augmented reality, immersive reality, as our partner, not as a replacement. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lindo. We are applauding you here.
Yes, sir.
We have questions that we will be asking you later. Can
Yes,
we
sir.
now hear from Ifeyinwa Uzondu?
Yeah.
Are you there? No. Okay. Okay, no. Is there any other person that is supposed to present that is still here? Okay, let us go to okay. Question.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Mabuda. I'm from Point of Nigeria by coach my speech at the Ahmad Village Direct Student Team. First of all, I want to applaud or say that I'm happy about the presentation I'm listening to, especially from the Adepila first time, focusing on hybrid theater. My thesis was also on something about from the script to the multimedia, looking into some of the works of the adapted works of Adepina, the showing cast work of Adepina. And one of the things he has said that struck me was the fact that everybody knows that when Adepina is doing his own type of theater, some people call it liquid, he has called it kinetic. But I think this is the general thing that we know about Adepina. So my question to you first of all is, what is the gap that you are thinking from this your presentation? I really like it because for anybody that is in theater, you have just made us understand. We know Adepina, but refreshing our memories about him. So what is the gap they're trying to, because what you have told us is what to know about him already. So what is the gap they're trying to fill on us? And then I can also ask the brother mostly.
Muslim, are you listening?
Yes, I'm here, sir. I'm listening, sir.
Okay, I said I like your paper. And for your paper, I think
Yes, sir.
one of the recommendations that we've been currently trying to make, especially because the digitalization of the humanities, which theater arts is also part of. We have art, we have literature, we have history, we have all these things. One of the things that is already taking place in some universities abroad is that they are merging departments of literature, media studies, and theater into what we call adaptation departments or literary adaptation faculties. Because when you speak about hybrid performances, these hybrid performances are what we call adaptations of literary text. Because the issue of text has moved. We don't see text anymore as this. Text is now performances, is now audiobooks, is now ebooks, is now VR scripts. So, and this is also affecting performances. And so I would like you to also sort of query or add your voice up. So that is the gap we're trying to fill. The fact that number one, we are studying VR, we are studying augmented reality, we're trying to understand how these performances are now being adapted because they are digitized performances now. This is our community. But we are yet to begin to study them in their new forms. I don't know if you understand. We're still picking at evaluation in cast textbooks, whereas we are not using the textbooks and we're using the adapted versions, the ones online, the ones on the ebooks, the ones on the VR. But we are yet to begin to study them because there's a gap of the department or the place to put these scripts. They are not in theater. Yes, they are not in theater, they are not in literary studies, they are not in media. So for some universities, they are in what they call the adaptation department or the adaptation because they're a mixture of all these departments. So I would like you to just speak briefly to it if you understand what I'm saying, and then add that to your work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Very, very good. Let us agree. Is you supposed to answer the questions before we go to the next comment, or we take all of the questions and answers?
So I think it would be appropriate. Let's address each participant.
Okay.
Let's address each presenter.
You can respond, sir.
If there are other comments for him,
Other comments.
or questions,
Are there other questions
for him?
for him?
Yes.
Muslim Sani, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you, sir. I'm with you, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
I can hear you, sir. I'm with you, sir.
Okay, you can go ahead and answer the question
Or respond.
or respond to the comments.
Okay, if I can, based on the last comment, sir, on the adaptation. That is what that's why I have it in my recommendation that AI. Some people are seeing AI as something that is coming, or anything automated, anything artificial, as something that is coming to come and replace their job. And that's why I recommend that we should see it as a partner in progress. It has come to stay, and that is why Bolanle Otipita is he established his a theater company in 2003. Is one of the private owned theater station, private owned station in Nigeria here, and she has been able to use incorporate automated, especially in the areas of scenography, especially in the area of sound modulation, in the areas of automated lighting into his performance. And that's why I'm saying that this time around, the concept of ability as propounded by the Omi Bahaba will come to stay now, because most of the things we do now, it has gone beyond the physical setting. It has gone beyond the ordinary place.
Are you there?
When is there some departments that they are incorporating adaptation, merging different departments together? That is the trend. But yet, many departments still lag behind in this area, sir. In this area, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. Any further?
No, he agreed with me that it's something we need to work on as a community of scholars in Nigeria.
Musliu,
I agree.
Want to thank you very, very, very much for your presentation and your reactions. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I had a question for the second presenter.
Okay.
So I've asked him, I think, do you understand my question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Would you like to take other questions?
Is there any other question for him?
Yes, I would just like to ask.
Musliu, are you listening? Are you there?
I'm listening. I'm with you, sir. I'm with you, sir.
You have a
Yes,
question?
I'm there, sir.
All right, well done, Dr. Musliu.
Yes, sir.
That was a lovely presentation,
You're welcome, sir.
Yes, sir. Did you at any point look at the implications between artificial intelligence and human capacity? I mean, the implication, the gaps in cohabitating with AI tools while working on theater projects, sir?
Yes, sir. I have it in the course of my presentation is because I have an issue with the network. There's a particular session I tag challenges and consideration. Challenges and consideration. Under this, we are trying to, while incorporating anything automated, we are trying to, there's an artistic anxiety where people will think that, is this possible? What about the aspect of emotion? Human emotion? If you are infusing AI, can we get human emotion? Can the audience actually understand the concept, the title, the storyline, the characterization using automated or augmented reality? Yes. The answer is yes. That's why the concept of hybridity comes to play. This is because aside we can use AI, we can use anything automated to derive emotions, to achieve emotion, and that's why Bolanle Otipita production study is so relevant here. And another challenge people think is that okay, will AI not distort our artistic ingenuity? The answer is yes. It cannot distort it. The application of AI in artwork cannot distort our artistic ingenuity. It can only enhance it. And another area is that, well, of course, in terms of challenges is resource demand in terms of cost, and there's another gap. Another gap in the sense that there are technical maintenance. There's a problem of skills, manpower, where these are the areas that can be area where we can look into. But one of the production that is just successful in that area, that's why I use the Bolanle Otipita production. She has been able to use automated lighting. She has been able to use anything virtual reality in a production, and that has been successful, carried audience along. There's emotion there, and everything theater, people even enjoy than what we normally face or experience in the normal theater, because using automated machine, I don't need to go and be thinking of how I want to get a local. Maybe there's a production that we need to showcase in India. There's a production that we need to showcase in China or in America. Through automated machine, through the programmable consoles, all these things is achievable. Even I can be acting, and I feel I'm in those market. They will think I'm in the market, and it's not. I'm not in the market. I'm still in the normal auditorium. But through the virtual reality, through the augmented reality, this is achievable, and it has been experienced, and we have noticed it, and it's something that is achievable.
Thank
you,
you
sir.
very much, Musiliu. The answer to the question is becoming more like another definition. Thank you very much. So, any other question for him?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Peter Ogohi.
Thank you very much, panelists. Good morning, if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Can you confirm that you can hear me?
Yes.
My questions and contributions are for the presentations by Dr. Atanda and Dr. Jimmy. So I see the current questions are for the last presenter.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you everyone for your presentations. I enjoyed all of them. The first speaker was Dr. Atanda, and I just have two key questions. I listened closely and he concluded, Dr. Atanda, because he discussed a very relevant subject on the issue of language, and somehow concluded that people can choose to write and express themselves in whatever language they deem fit. My question will now be regarding the use of indigenous languages in drama, for example, because you gave that background of Ngugi wa Thiong'o and all of those who kind of advocated for that. So if people choose to continue that way in an age where we experience the desire for wider readership, how do we handle the complexity of the Nigerian linguistic culture, for example, where, for example, one language has multiple dialects, and then with the issue of lack of standardized orthographies and all of that. So how is, in the regard of language of expression as a tool for decolonization, what will you say about the use of indigenous language in terms of sociocultural representation, where translation is grossly inadequate and the indigenous languages have issues of orthography? And then the second one is on the talk about democratization. I know you mentioned that in the aftermath of COVID, that the movement of performances to digital platforms online and all of that is in itself a form of democratization. Isn't that limited in terms of issues of access to those media and the dialogue that is ongoing about what people think qualifies to be theater or to be live theater? Then about my first question, I think that I would find your contributions very useful to my own presentation later on in the afternoon at 12:45, which is on this same issue of language. So if you are free by then, I invite you to attend. I would enjoy your contribution. Shall I wait for this or go on with that for Jimmy?
Go ahead. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. We are afraid that
thank you very much.
Later.
Thank you very much. So very quickly, Dr. Jimmy, thank you also for a very cogent presentation about whose needs are being served in terms of university practice of theater for development. I think that this is more of a contribution. I think that I believe it's important to define what the agenda is for the university-based practices that we are seeing, because there is the issue of funding, there is the issue of ethical consideration. So if we're asking whose needs are being served, we also need to ask whose finances is funding the project. So is it a curricular requirement? Is it actual theater for development? So we need to set what the agenda is. So given that we have multiple development concerns in Nigeria. I have published a reflection on a previous project we did, which I can share with you. And one recommendation we made in that reflection is that more intra-university, interdisciplinary partnerships can be useful in the TFDs going on in tertiary institutions, because we have still basic development issues where TFD can be at the center of interdisciplinary research, including scientific ones, to bring about community development. That way we can see measurable development as a result of theater for development interventions, rather than what is just going at as a triggering people's sensitivity on their issues and leaving them where we met them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Peter Oboy. I think my own part of your, is it a comment or a question? I think it's a comment, more of a comment, right?
It's a comment and contribution, yes.
Okay, it's an addendum. So,
all right, if I may just quickly respond to your question on the issue of language and translation. We have come to the reality of it. There's nothing we can do in terms of that, because if what I was saying, or what I'm still saying, is that basically the choice of writing either in indigenous language or language of a colonizer, it has come to stay with a reality with us. And Dr. says that if at all a writer chooses to write in real language like English did and some other writers, I think we have to see that to expand our scope in the global trend, we need to have to translate some of those indigenous works, like works of writers in other languages, in Hausa language, Yoruba language, whatever language in Africa. That will expand the scope globally. And that's what we need, so that our works from Africa can spread to the world. And if we so choose to say, okay, a writer chooses to write in whatever language of colonizer, we need to translate there into additional language. Like somebody has translated works of Femi or something into Yoruba language. It's the beauty of what I'm saying in the concept of democratization. And to say that the limitation, it does not limit it. You can say, imagine what has come to advance the course of music in Nigeria. That at least not only in terms of spread, even in terms of economy, and the film itself is scaling down. You can see that it's better for us as industry, entertainment industry is advancing in the course of this influence of technology. I mean, that is some limitation. It's advancing it. Thank you.
Muslim, are you with us? I'm not going.
Yes, sir. I'm with you, sir. I'm with you, sir.
Request that the host stops sharing the screen. You know, there's this presentation from before that's still sharing all the while, so that we can have a better viewing experience.
Okay, we have those of us that have our shared consent.
Okay.
Later on, right?
Okay.
We still have that opportunity, right? Yeah. So we can send our those of us that are presented virtually, we are going to send we are going to share the papers with you.
Okay.
Any other question?
Thank you, sir.
I want to quickly answer. Okay.
We have reaction, so go ahead.
I want to quickly answer. We have, excuse me. We have two types of director. We have an interpretative director and a creative director. An interpretative director will take a play, follow the play step by step. But the creative director will juggle the play, will change the style of the play, different style. And that's where I'm coming from here now, about kinesis. All body movement has meaningful potential in communicative context, according to Bedwistel. Behavior can be analyzed because of pattern and repetitions. Although body actions are biological limits, the use of body in motion for interaction is part of social system. People's visual bodies action can influence others. A person use of body activities will have unique idiosyncratic aspects, which also being part of a larger social system shared with others. The reason why Adefila is using that kind of style, we want to bring traditional movement to contemporary time. And that's one of my recommendations states that training in kinesis and indigenous performance aesthetics. Based on what my doctor said here, he talked about language. Adifela is trying to bring language, our own indigenous language, into contemporary style, into contemporary acting, into contemporary dance, not neglecting our own indigenous, movements. We have our own indigenous movements. The way we will do our sign like this is different from China's sign like this. It's different from Europe's sign like this. So it's time to bring in our own, movement, indigenous movement into performance. And that is why I said training in kinesis and indigenous performance aesthetics. Directors collaborator workshop. Directors should work closely with cultural experts. If you want to, using this kind of style, as a director, you must work closely with cultural experts, choreographers, and designers to ensure that performance aesthetics align with cultural context and thematic depth. So our own cultural concepts must align with any theme wherever they are given to you. And let me just include this to it. Sorry. Let me just include this last one to it. Gender and artistic expression. By the time you are using kinesis, for instance, the Yoja, another major issue is gender and artistic expression. Another area of study could investigate how gender identities are constructed and changed and challenged through kinesis and aesthetic choice in dramatic, drama. We know how our mother used to do. Even with their, like this alone, the meaning. So it's trying to bring in that indigenous language, indigenous body movement gestures into our contemporary style.
Thank you very much. Yes. Okay, we have one more person online to present. Presenter?
No, I'm just that for a while.
Is that Ifeyiwa Uzondu?
Yes, Ifeyiwa Uzondu.
Okay, you have 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm here to present a paper titled From Live Theater Performance to Media Presentation, Children, Social Learning, Social Integration and Learning. Okay, we'll begin to say that live theater performance started during the Greek era, where performances were organized in honor of the Greek goddess Dionysus. From Greek era to Roman era, where there is an introduction of elaborate scenery as an innovation in live theater performance. Then after the Roman theater, we have the medieval era, where plays or stories were used through mystery and morality plays to interpret biblical stories to the audience. During the Renaissance era gave room or consciousness of some theater artists to start documenting stories through playwriting. And the Renaissance era gave us playwrights such as William Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, and John Benson, amidst other playwrights that emerged during the Renaissance. Okay, but one common feature or trend that runs through these eras is that they all incorporated live theater performance in conveying their messages to their audience. Worthy to know that these messages were all relatable stories and highly impactful to the audience. But the 19th and 20th century brought up the innovation of the cinema that brought a dramatic twist and shift in live theater performance, where we have the cinema, the introduction of the cinema, the radio, the television, and other technology. Yes, I can hear you.
You have 5
Yes,
minutes.
yes.
We are rounding up the session already. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, okay. Okay, but the 21st century gave rise to the proliferation of internet distribution network, the virtual and social media platforms where performance were shown. Okay, but the fact that live theater performance encourage physical contact and community viewership, while the media presentations are consumed individually, then the life of the children, the social life of children becomes very brings a lot of concern because of their social learning and their integration with the media. We are not ignorant of the fact of the pervasive nature of the media and how influential it is to humans, not to talk of children in their biological immaturity stage. This paper adopts Lev Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, which stipulates that learning is inherently a social process where knowledge is constructed through interaction with others and mediated by cultural funds, features such as the language, using language, symbols, and shared experiences or activities. Vygotsky emphasized that this collective experience of widely watching and discussing and sometimes active participation leads to encourage or support social learning and identity formation for children. Based on the standpoint of Vygotsky, the paper highlights these challenges, some of the challenges and the prospects of this both media presentation and live theater performance. We can say that live theater performance provide the unique opportunity for children to physically engage and connect with one another, while media presentation limits this physical interaction. On the other hand, live theater encourages inclusive practice of all that are present.
Go ahead.
The performance. There are no boundaries and no bias. But the media says smart technology is more difficult for children to get involved. Okay. Then we can say that live theater also encourage effective participation while media is consumed individually. Then the life of children now becomes a very big, should be of a very big concern to everyone. This media that these children are consuming individually. And you know that all the things that trend in the media, if it's a live theater performance where there is a community viewership, the content, of course, must be less toxic for these children. But with their apps, with their smartphones, and technological devices, they have.
If anyone, LSA frowns at African time, so you have 1 minute to conclude.
Okay. In conclusion, the paper is advocating or proposing that there should be a blended approach. That because the media has come to stay, digital age has come to stay, the live theater performance, which connects and has this attachment or bonding and easier to indoctrinate children, should not be discarded. And therefore, the curriculum planners should encourage to try and integrate blended approach so that children will have a holistic development. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions for anyone?
Well, the only thing I have is for.
Are you listening? There's a question for you.
Yes, I'm listening.
10 minutes and I have to set up for that.
Okay, so that's a defined presentation. Yeah, I want to say Just a comment before my question. Most masquerade performs under the influence of material or intangible substance. Because when you talk about the kinesiology, we can move the avoid definition. No, fine. Dance is a non-verbal communication. Dance is an exercise, and of course, dance is therapeutic. Yeah. So, for masquerade, most of them they perform under influence of one thing or the other, either through an influence of a spirit or the talisman they are using, or they have taken some substance before they come out. So I don't know if your research actually look into that direction.
Actually, I'm talking about the perspective of how Chiego Ajinjela coped with his own ideology. I didn't look into that. You're just trying to tell me that his own ideology comes from masculine performance. That's the first place he gave his own idea about dance.
Let me quickly say this before we start. I've seen masquerade wearing Timberland shoes. I've seen masquerade drinking coffee beer.
Yeah.
I've seen a masquerade fighting. Are these actual representations of our ancestors, or they are just symbols?
This was
they are modern. So let us, if people want to go into it, I'm going to spend some hours. So I've seen a masquerade wearing Timberland, like drinking trophy.
Our ancestors that's the hybridity.
Can we just have a